Peace, peace, peace. I am Philip Brownshire, and you're tuned to episode 27 of hashtag You Good Man. And so the brother that I have on today I met him actually in the beginning of my entrepreneurial journey. We actually was going to breakfast together, and it was just like, hey, we just sat down and we just started conversing. And so this happened back in August. We at the Black Enterprise 2018 Be Modern Man. We both were being honored by Black Enterprise magazine just for various works that we're both are doing within the community. I saw PK again initially walking around. There was just certain brothers who like, hey, if I wore suits, I would want to be like that brother. You know what I mean? I would want to dress like him. And so when we sat down and we started having conversation, and he started to let me know a little bit about him. First, the first shocker was I thought he was like in his 30s like me, right? And then I ain't gonna put your age out there, brother. You know what I mean? But let's just say when you see the memes that say drink your water and stay out of other people's business, clearly that's what he's been doing for X amount of years. But also, during this discussion, I just learned about who he was as far as a philanthropist, and I'm gonna let you get into that. But it was just, I was always amazed just being in that environment with the brothers at Black Enterprise, that Black Enterprise event, and then just hearing personal stories. And one of them was yours that just resonated with me. And then again, I make jokes about, are you tired? But because I'm seeing you around, I'm seeing you doing this philanthropic work, just helping brothers out, which is something that we rarely see. Now, I don't want to say we rarely see, because that'll be doing discredit for brothers who are out here. But as far as what's visible, we're not seeing the brothers putting in the work within the community like you are. So I just want to first say thank you. Thank you for not only being on a podcast, but again, being an inspiration for me, as far as somebody that I can look at and say, yo, you just do it, man. You just do it. You do what you be true to you. You help. You show gratitude to people. You help people, because in return, it's going to come back tenfold. So I would like to introduce to the people, Mr. PK Kersey, man. So I applaud you for being here. Thank you for coming on with me, and I appreciate the work that you do. So I could go into who you are, but I'd rather hear you do that. Who is PK?
Hey, what's going on? Thank you for sharing your platform. I definitely appreciate it. Finally was able to link up and do this. But basically, man, I'm just a brother from Brooklyn who raised by two awesome parents who really paved the way for me, my brother, and my sister about how we should be responsible adults. I've been married for 27 years, and I have two sons, twin boys. And I worked for the government for over 25 years, and one thing I learned, I was responsible for doing a lot of interviews, and I would see a lot of men come in for interviews, and it really bothered me because they weren't really dressed properly for the interviews, and because of this, they weren't being hired, and I felt bad. I'm from Brooklyn. I see a lot of guys not getting work, and when they don't get work, they turn to criminal activity, unfortunately.
Facts.
So I said, well, what can I do? Instead of saying, oh, that's sad and that's terrible, what can I do? What little step can I make? So I said, well, let me give this guy a suit that, I'm no longer wearing. And when I gave him the suit, I saw that his confidence grew. And not only did his confidence grow, but he later on told me that because of that, he was able to get a job because he felt good and now he has something to wear to the interview. So that kind of sparked something in my mind to say, well, I'm quite sure he's not alone in this situation. So me and my brother, he's in banking, Jamel Thompson.
Okay.
We started an organization called Choo. And what we do, we collect suits and ties and we give it to men who are coming home from prison. That's how we initially started. But then we said we just don't want to give them suits. We also want to give them information. So we started doing workshops. And now we're in schools, we're in colleges, we go into homeless shelters, we work with the veterans. Any organization, any place we can go where there are men who have this need, then that's our audience. That's who we look for, because we know how stressful it can be for a man when he can't provide for his family.
Facts.
And we know how that can really, really wear him down. He's like, wow, what? And then when he can't get a job or an interview because he doesn't have anything to wear, that's another sense of stress. So this, we found is the beginning. You provide him with a suit, his confidence grows, he stands up straight, he sits up straight, he's excited, he gets the job, he provides for his family, and then in turn, he does the same thing. Now he's a giver. Now he wants to return. He wants to help. So it not only helps him, it helps his family, but it also helps the community.
For sure, for sure. No, it's, again, salute to you, man, because what you're talking about is you're talking about building esteem, right? Especially when we live in a world where, especially within our community as Black brothers, it's hard for us to even say what's up to one another when we're walking down the street and cross paths, because it's always like, some of us view it as, well, what do you want from me? Right. And so to be out here being selfless and helping other brothers out, that speaks volumes. And again, when we do give, it's a part of us just innate that says, we want to pay that forward. Right. So that's what's up, man. I do want to delve back into, because you said you worked for the government for 20 plus years. Right. So what was it?
Right. Correct.
So why that switch? I know my parents' generation, and definitely my parents' generation, was if you get that good city job, you get them good benefits, you stay there until you get that good city pension that come in. So what was it about? So what was it for you that said, you know what, and I don't want to assume, but I'm just not being fulfilled by this work anymore, and making that transition?
That's a great question, and it could go either way with my answer. One of the reasons is because I feel I'm a creative person, and something comes to my mind, I want to implement it, I want to see it get done. Working for the state, I mean, there was levels before you can do anything, have anything change, before you can have a letter change. So it was like a process, and it took a while to see any changes. So that was one thing. Second thing was, I worked for New York State, and for I think it was 4 years, we didn't get a raise. And, I'm like, what, bread going up, gas going up, everything going up, but my salary. And then we got a letter from the governor saying, okay, before we got the letter, then we got a furlough. So we didn't get paid. They took money from us. So we didn't get a raise, and they took money from us. And then we got a letter from the governor once they returned the money to us. We got a letter saying, okay, we're going to give you a raise this year. And the raise is going to be 1%. So I was like, wow, a 1% raise after 4 or 5 years of not getting the raise. So I just felt like my income was stifled. I felt that I didn't have control, any creativity. I felt stuck. I felt like I was stuck in a rut. So I said, I cannot continue to go this way. It's going to drive me crazy because so much I want to do, but my salary's set. When I can get off is set. Everything seemed like I couldn't control it. So I felt really stifled. So that's the second reason. And the third reason, seeing these guys come in and wanting to do something to help them, this seemed like the perfect transition. I'm tired. I don't want to be here. I'm frustrated. And I have this creative idea that I want to implement. Let me take this opportunity. They say if you wait for the perfect time to do something, you'll never do it.
Facts.
And I kept in my mind, I said, this is like 2 years ago, but in my mind, I said, well, I'm going to leave the state in December of 2018, which would have been last December. I actually wound up leaving, because of different circumstances, February 2017, so a year and a half before I had planned it. So things may not go the way you plan, but don't wait for the perfect opportunity. Don't wait for everything is lined up. It's perfect now. Now I can do it, because that perfect time may not come. So take advantage. And life can be short, man. Life, we have it all planned out. Things can change in a second. Things can change in a moment that we didn't expect. So I really wanted to just take the bull by the horns and really take control of my destiny.
Got you. No, it makes complete sense, man. Because again, you're never going to be ready for real, until you actually get out there. And then once you realize, it's like, you know what, I am ready. I do have the skill set necessary to get to wherever I desire to go, or at least to put in the effort to get to where I want to go. I know for me personally, I pretty much just got fired right before I came down in August to the Black Enterprise event. I might have shared that with you. But it was just like, I was happy, because it was just like, I probably would have continued on, and only gave but my passion is about 25 to 30% that I've been giving it for the last 3 years. And it finally took that last push for me to say, you know what? Yeah, it's time. Whatever happens, I'm capable of dealing with the highs and the lows that come with this. And that's one thing that's critical that I think sometimes get overlooked with entrepreneurialism is, I know we talk about the highs and the lows, but the highs and the lows can be really high and can be really low, right? And so, you know, there's a reason that, you know, 1/3 of entrepreneurs live with depression and anxiety, which is higher than the national average. And so with you, how did you deal with that transition, especially you being married for X amount of years, you know, decades at that point, walking in and saying, yeah, babe, yeah, that's it for me. I'm going. You know what I mean? So how was that conversation?
That definitely is, it's a lot to it. I mean, after 25 years of every 2 weeks getting the same amount of money, no matter if I was happy with it or not, I knew I was getting it. I mean, whether it wasn't what I expected or wanted, I knew I was getting it. And then going from that to not getting anything at all and for some weeks, and then plenty other weeks, that is a tough situation. But, you know, I just came in and I said, listen, honey, this is the situation. You know how I've been feeling for such and such time, and this is what happened today. I will no longer be there starting Monday. And, you know, it was silent for a little while. It was quiet as that begins the process. But then after that process went by, over a couple of minutes, you know, talking about it, then it's okay, now what are we going to do now? What are we going to do from here? So that's all, you know, you really need to hear, that encouragement to say, listen, I'm going to be here with you. I'm going to support you. I'm going to push you through with you. So that conversation, it wasn't as tough as I thought it would be. But at the same time, for myself going through it, like you said, there's some real highs. I mean, I've been in Gayle King's house. She invited me to her house to collect suits. I mean, that's a tremendous high. Yeah. That's a tremendous high. We're going to be on Steve Harvey's show taping this Thursday. That's a tremendous high. That's wonderful. But then there's also some maybe a couple of months when you send out invoices and nothing came in. So you're like, wow, you know, is this the right decision? Did I do the right thing? So you got to be able to have that ability to be control your emotions, or have an outlet, or have something where you don't allow it to drive you crazy, because you really have to be built for this. You know, they say, well, is everybody supposed to be an entrepreneur? I don't know whether that's true or not, but I do know that if you do decide to be, whatever level, whatever venture you go into, you have to have that level of you're not going to let the highs get you hyped, and you're not going to let the lows get you too low. Because you got to be able to handle both of them. You got to be able to be in control of your emotions.
Yeah. No, listen, I mean, I couldn't have said it any better. I completely agree. You have to recognize, and what happens with a lot of entrepreneurs, and listen, I'm no different. You know, you talk about you sending out them invoices, you don't hear anything. I'll send out 100 emails, literally 3 straight weeks, and I don't get anything. And it's just like, well, Dad, you don't even respect me enough to say, no, I'm good. So, you know what I mean? And so I look at myself like, dang, they don't even respect me. And so that self-doubt creeps in, right? Because so often we attach our worth to what it is that we do, right? And so if we see success, we feel amazing, which you should feel amazing. But conversely, when we don't see that same type of success, we attach ourselves to it. Well, I'm not good enough. A lot of shaming of self that we see, especially as entrepreneurs, especially as Black brothers. You know, our role model, I can speak for me. I didn't have a role model as far as how to be an entrepreneur. I still don't technically have a role model for how to be an entrepreneur. My mom worked for X amount of time till she got sick. She eventually got better. But, you know, my dad wasn't an entrepreneur. He was into some illegal activity, right? So I'm just trying to do this. I'm doing this off the muscle. And I don't know if that's your same story, But that could be frustrating as well. You try to watch 1,000 Gary V videos and you try to watch all of this content, and sometimes, you know, I know me personally, I'm left with this question of, again, is this for me? And I know you said that for yourself, but that's when it's imperative that we believe in the purpose more than anything else. You didn't hand the suit over to the first brother and say, oh, I'm gonna get a check off this, right? And so,
right.
And just like when I get out there and I'm speaking to these young kids, I spoke to a 7th grade. They weren't saying, "Oh, here's a check attached to this." You know, it was just like, no, you talking to these 7th graders. They gonna boo you. They gonna talk while you talking. But you out here for a reason, because we recognize that if we don't do it, it might not get done, right? So you know, that's why it's so critical to be mindful, to separate self from what it is that you do. And far so often we get caught up in, again, that identification. There's a basketball player, former basketball player, guy Larry Sanders, and I talk about him when I go out. And he played for the Milwaukee Bucks. He last played about 4 years ago with the Cavaliers. And so he signed a $40-50 million contract. He ended up leaving after like 2 years of the contract. They thought he was going to get suspended for marijuana. He ended up checking himself in for mental health reasons, depression and anxiety. And so when he came out, you know, people looked at it like, what would you do that for? And so I watched the video, and he started the video by saying, hi, I'm Larry Sanders. I'm a father. I'm an artist. I'm a painter. I'm a brother. And sometimes I play basketball. Right? And it was just like, that was so profound for me, because, you know, I often get, you know, called you the mental health bull. I'm sure you probably get you the suit bull, right? And so, but in order to keep that perspective that's necessary, I'm also Kaylin and Justin's dad. You're also the father of 2 kids. You're also a husband. You're also all of these other things. Right? I'm somebody who's going to go upstairs and watch Netflix after this and enjoy it. You know, so it's important that we remember the other aspects of who we are, especially when we're in businesses, especially when we're entrepreneurialism, where so much of our time is dedicated to this one idea. So no, I definitely appreciate, you know, your perspective on that. So question, so how has this impacted you? You know, mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, like this journey of that suit shoot?
I mean, I believe that it's really brought some things out of me that I didn't know was actually in me. You know, I didn't know how much of a leader I was until I really stepped out and did this, because, you know, I believe I was an excellent follower. You said something before me, you give me something to do, I'll definitely follow it and I'll definitely do it. But to actually step out and lead, that really, to me, I didn't think that was really who I was, or I really didn't think I had that quality. But being that, you know, I was, like you said, one of a few that I know personally that was doing this in my life and my family that I knew, I had to be a leader. I have to go up to schools and say, I have a program. Would you be interested in having this program in your school? I have to go up to homeless shelters and say, I have something that I believe can transform the men in your homeless shelter. I have to be able to go make the calls and do this and I had to, and I didn't know I had those leadership qualities inside of me until I stepped out. I always use the analogy of the movie. You said you're a movie man. I'm quite sure you saw The Matrix. And when
I never saw that, man. I never saw that.
Okay.
Never.
All right. Well, in the movie The Matrix, Morpheus says to Neo, and he's telling him about The Matrix. He says, he's trying to explain it to him, but then he says, you know what? I can't really explain to you what the Matrix is. I have to show you. When it's sort of like that with being an entrepreneur. People, you can watch the videos like you were saying, you can listen to people's experiences, but it's really, they have to really experience it. Going from working 9 to 5 for 25 years to being an entrepreneur, it kind of brought things out of me that I didn't know that I had in me, and things that you definitely need to be successful. It's sort of like the example I use a lot is you have a lion that's in a zoo and a lion that's in the jungle. Same lion, 2 lions, but totally different. The lion in the jungle, the lion in the zoo is gonna eat no matter if he roar, no matter if he do anything. They're gonna feed him. the lion in the jungle, he has to go out and kill unless he will not eat. So it's a whole totally different mentality that you have to have. And you have to be determined. You have to be, listen, I got 10 no's today. That's not enough. I need 20 no's, because within those 20 no's, it's going to be probably 2 yeses. But I got to be persistent enough. I have to be confident enough. I have to be determined enough to not let those no's stop me from reaching those yeses that I know are out there. There's yeses that are out there for us, but sometimes we get so many no's that it stops us from going another mile to get that yes. You got to keep going. You know, when I worked for DMV, if I didn't do any extra, you know, I still got paid. You know, I used to come home, go to sleep. That was it at the end of the day. Being an entrepreneur is a different mindset. Sometimes I'm up 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning thinking, sending emails, you know, creating something. So it's a totally different mindset that I have to have working for myself than working for the company.
No, facts. I completely get it. And I like that analogy too. And what it reminds me of is, especially when you say, you know, you get 10 no's, you get 20 no's, those no's are only temporary, potentially, right? So it's this idea that it was a writer who I like, Malcolm Gladwell, and he was talking about how his grandmother or mother would participate in a riot, right? And you think like your grandmother or mother would participate in a riot. But what he said was, you know, she might not be the first person, but if she sees 10,000 people participating, your mom, your grandma might be out there throwing a rock too, right? And so it's the same thing with those first 10 no's. We can't, you know, sometimes we get caught up in our emotions because we're human beings. And we begrudge these 10 people that said no, right? All right, I'm never going to reach out to you again. Sometimes it might just be you know, we don't know the reason for the no. It could be a no because of funding. It could be a no because they might be all booked up. It could be no's for various reasons. But again, that means we have to stop ourselves from internalizing the no, and to show ourselves grace and show those no's grace. Because it could be no, I've gotten ignored by one school for so long. And then, you know, about 8 months later, I hit them up there. I was like, oh, yeah. And I was like, hey, I should have got with me sooner. It was like, well, Phil, you know what? X, Y, and Z happened. This wasn't Y. But instead, I looked at it as, you know what? Hey, maybe I'm not good enough, right? And so we need to avoid that negative self-talk that comes with being an entrepreneur. So with that said, and what you do with, you know, that suits you, it's like, yo, you gonna be on Steve Harvey. Don't let Steve give you them old brother suits though. If he give you some suits,
he got some nice suits now.
I know he changed up. I was looking at. Matter of fact, let me see if I don't know if you can see this or not, but this is my prom suit. I had the. You talking about brother suits? Yeah, I had the derby. You know, I had the little ostrich. That Joe was like size 40 waist though, the big. So, but yeah, you know, that's dope though. You know what I mean? That's dope because, and I was just looking at, you know, all the people that you partner with. We're talking about Major League Baseball. We're talking about various news stations in New York. Like you said, you were at Gayle King's crib, right? Like who thinks about Gayle King? Like, you know what I mean? Like how major that is. We like, in our minds, we're like, oh, that's just Oprah homie. But nah, Gayle thorough, like in her own right, and very powerful.
Yeah, she's a beast.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And so with that said, my next question is, given what you're seeing in the men and the young men with whom you've come in contact with, outside of low self-esteem, what other issues are you seeing that's negatively impacting the wellness of our young brothers?
One thing for sure is that trauma. I mean, some of them have seen and have been through so much trauma. They call it like the yellow tape. They walk through yellow tape almost every other day. Dead homie, somebody dead in the street. And a lot of times they don't even have a time to process that. Like it becomes like a normal situation where they're dealing with grief or they're dealing with some type of trauma in their home and they don't really have an outlet. So how do they display that? They display that by being aggressive to people in the school. They display that also by being quiet into themselves and not sharing, not opening up. So they continue to bottle that consistently. You know, I saw this show the other day. They were talking about he had a bottle of water, and he asked the class, you know, he said, how heavy is this water? And they said, that's light. That's nothing. So he asked one of the students to come up and hold the water with their fingers. So it's light. So that student was able to hold it for a little while, but after a while it became so heavy that they dropped it because, you know, you can't do that for too long. Well, that's the same thing with us. And with the guys, something may have been light or minor at the moment, but if you continue to hold that within, if you continue to bottle that inside yourself, sooner or later something's going to happen. That something's going to snap. Something's going to trigger a release from you. So, I mean, I think that's one of the biggest things. They see so much trauma, and then a lot of times the teachers really don't know how to relate to them. So they get labeled as slow. They get labeled as he's a troublemaker. They get labeled as, you know, he's a bad kid. And a lot of these so-called bad kids, slow kids, when we come in and we bring our program into them, these are some of the nicest, most wonderful young men. It's just that a lot of times some of the teachers don't know how to relate to them. And that's unfortunate because now you're putting a label on this young man, and he's gonna keep hearing that over and over again, and now it may become a self-fulfilling prophecy. Now
Fact.
he turns into that. So I mean, those are the two things that I've seen a lot of.
No, facts, and that's why, you know, I'm such a heavy proponent of therapy, especially I think every black male needs therapy because you're already born into a system a system where unfortunately you're starting from a deficit, right? You're starting with all this historic emotional baggage and trauma that we've experienced. And so that's just one aspect. That's not even accounting for how we're nurtured and how we're conditioned to deal with it. So I'm just trying to read what he said. I don't know. He's speaking that young fella talk. But you know, it's so important. It's so critical that, you know, we do, you know, whatever it is, because offering a suit is a form of therapy, right? Because again, you give somebody a suit, it positively impacts their mood, it positively impacts their self-esteem. Then going forward, you know, who knows what this might do? This might give them self-confidence to try something out. So granted, it's not your traditional in the room talking for an hour, talking for 2 hours type of therapeutic intervention, but it's still so meaningful and so impactful to the emotional wellness of a brother. So, you know, again, I keep saying salute because I'm a fan of, especially now, giving brothers the roses while they're here, because we never know what's going to happen and how it's going to impact us. So for you, what do you do in your downtime when it's no that suits for you, where you just PK? It's just PK. It's not dad. It's not husband, that might be rare. That might be rare. But what do you do to maintain your wellness? Do you exercise, read? What types of things?
I like to definitely exercise. Gets me focused. I also like the trip that we took for Black Enterprise. That was an awesome time. I mean, it was beautiful Florida, beautiful gentlemen, able to share, beautiful event, like something like that gives me strength for like months. That was a wonderful trip. I mean, I made several connections, including yourself, just from gentlemen going up and saying, "Hey, brother, how you doing? What do you do?" So something like that is rewarding to me. I like to exercise. And when you said you like Netflix, I like watching the ID channel. I mean, I like watching the ID channel and Law and Order. If I can have that.
All right, so we on the same page. Law and Order. Which one? Hold on. Which one though? Special Victims or the original?
The original and special. I like them both. I don't like Criminal Intent. I don't like Criminal Intent, but the Special Victims Unit and the original, I could definitely rock with those. And ID channel. I mean, something about the ID channel that I definitely love. So I do that to kind of, you know, just relax. Those are and exercise. That's what I like to do. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Because, you know, I'm always, again, especially as an entrepreneur, but not just because an entrepreneur, that we got to take care of ourselves holistically if we're going to continue to thrive going forward in our lives. And so,
Right.
you know, with that being said, you know, I know you're an author already. So what's the name of your first book?
The name of the book is called Suited for Success. It's 25 black gentlemen sharing their story of success, of what they had to do to overcome obstacles, to become celebrity hosts, to become doctor, whatever, lawyer, host, whatever it is that they had to do. How did they navigate that way, and what struggles did they have to go through to achieve that? So it's 25 black gentlemen sharing their stories. Very powerful, very transparent, and tremendous blessing. I appreciate everyone who supported it, who's read it, and who shared it. Definitely a blessing.
Cool, cool. And with that said, you're coming out with a second volume, correct?
Right. You know, anytime I feel that we can highlight our brothers, man, I want to do it. So we're coming out with a second volume right now. We're actually gathering input for the 25 gentlemen. You know, we have about 20 gentlemen that have signed up. We're looking for a few more to be a part of it. Another 25 gentlemen that's going to take it to the next level. So we'll have 2 volumes that we want to get into schools, that we want to get. We take them when we go in homeless shelters. We take them to the job training places, and we want to put these in the hands of as many people, men and women, as possible, to show them that, look, success is possible. No matter what your starting point is, no matter where you start from, you can achieve success. You just have to have the mindset that I'm not going to let anything stop me. I'm not going to let the words of others stop me. I'm not going to let my beginning stop me. I'm not going to let negative family and friends stop me. I'm not even going to let myself stop me. I'm going to do everything that I have to do to succeed. And here is a map, a guide of how these gentlemen have done it. And, yeah, so we're starting volume 2 right now.
That's what's up. That's what's up. So I know you said you have about 20 brothers now, which means you have approximately 5 slots open. Now, are you hand-picking brothers, or is it something brothers who are interested in being a part of the book, Suited for Success, they can hit you up, email you?
Yeah, they could definitely hit me up, email, DM me, email me. We're looking for brothers that have a nice brand, a nice following, and that's willing to push the product, is willing to put it, once it comes out, to really push it forward so we can get it to the next level. So anybody can submit their application, but we're definitely looking for a certain criteria of gentlemen that can really inspire and willing to be out there in front to inspire the next generation.
That's what's up. That's what's up. So do they got to wear suits?
Nah.
Okay.
I mean,
that's a bonus.
We will have a photo shoot like we did last year with the gentlemen all coming together. But if they do, that's beautiful. If they don't, then we got some suits that we can help them out with. But definitely, as long as they have that solid story and they're willing to share that story with the world.
Yeah, because we talk about how critical that is. One of our biggest, in my eyes, requirements as human beings is to tell our story, and tell our story effectively, because it can be impactful for somebody else listening. I'm sure when you might have gave the brother the suit, you might have been feeling one way, and he might have been feeling one way. And then when you went into who you were and who you are, that just made it that more special, and vice versa. You could have just gave him the suit and kept going. But when he started to tell you, listen, by you giving me the suit, that helped me build my esteem, that helped me go on a job interview. Because so many brothers, we throw the baby out with the bathwater. We might go to one interview, especially if we on hard times, and we like, man, say, forget this. But that might have been the stepping point, for the stepping stone for him to continue on to go to that next interview. And so when we hear stories like that, they are so impactful. And it just gives us a little bit more motivation to go forward. So that's why I think it's critical that we're just as authentic as possible with our story. It's not, the social media glamorizing the highs, right? Because people look at you, people might see me, oh, dang, you everywhere. Like I said, you Walmart, Major League Baseball, these about to go on the Steve Harvey show, and glamorizing the highs. But then there's also, I had this life that I lived for so long where I might have became unhappy. And I got the 10 no's today. As the sister said, you know, it gives hope, just being truth in our truth and being authentic. So what's your information? So if a brother does want to reach out to you with, you know, inquiring as to how they can be a part of the book.
Well, they definitely go to our Instagram page at PK Kersey or at That Suits You. Either one of those pages, ThatSuitsYou, That Suits You. Or they can go to the website, www.thatsuitsyou.org. There's a contact page. You can send a contact through there or email pk@thatsuitsyou.org. So pk@thatsuitsyou.org.
Okay, cool. And I encourage everybody to get a man a follow because we do, like, you know, I'm thinking about the schools that I'm going to, the events that I go to, and, you know, young brothers and older brothers who could definitely benefit. Good job putting it in there. Brothers who can benefit from a program like yours, right? And what it is that you have to offer, because again, it's so necessary, and the value that comes with that is it's not even measurable. It's not measurable. So I do want to thank you for coming on here, good brother. It's a Sunday night. It's the wind down, right? And so listen, man, I appreciate you.
Snowing outside.
It's snowing crazy up there?
It's starting to.
Okay, yeah. Down here they already done. Everybody but the Philly School District, it's a 2-hour delay. The school's canceled. And so we'll see what it looks like, man. So once again, thank you. And I want to thank everybody for tuning in. This is episode 27 of #You Good Man. This will be on all platforms, YouTube, SoundCloud, iTunes, and Google Play Music this upcoming Thursday. I can't tell you the date because I'm not good with dates. So I appreciate you guys for turning in. As always, you can catch me on Instagram, which you're watching now. So I would hope you have my IG. But if you're Brother PK's followers, that's Phil, PHIL_Quadify, QUADEFY. That's also me on Twitter. I don't use Twitter, but feel free to give me a follow on Twitter. You can catch me on Facebook.com/Philip. That's with 2 L's, M as in Mary, SW. Check out my website, www.quadifyllc.net. I am now offering wellness coaching, so that's individual mental health therapy. That's also athletic coaching and body composition coaching. So feel free to check that out. Again, PK, thank you, brother.
Yes, man. Appreciate it. Thank you for having me on the show, man.
Peace.